Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's Hangout with Jennifer Marcolongo. Hi, Jennifer.
Hi, how are you?
I am well, thank you. I am Jeff Lee. I'm the Director of Product Development here at Folio Tech. And joining me today is Jennifer Marcolongo, and she has a very interesting role. She is the Programs Developer and Advisor for the Advanced Manufacturing Partnerships in Education at the Community College System of New Hampshire. So that's a mouthful, really is. There's an acronym for it called AMP-Ed-NH. So if anybody wants to simplify it, that's definitely a better way to go. So Jennifer, my first question to you is, describe that role for me and what you do there at the Community College System in New Hampshire.
So through a DOL grant, we were awarded $20 million, and part of that money was used to provide student support services that will help our students get through their certificate and degree programs and help them find jobs and advise them and give them the tools that they need. So my role as the online programs developer and advisor is to provide e-tutoring services, e-mentoring services, and e-portfolio services.
Wow. So ePortfolio is really what we're here to talk about today. So can you just kind of elaborate for me on how you have employed ePortfolio components on the various campuses?
Yeah, so each of our 7 campuses uses the ePortfolios based on their needs. A few of our campuses have it embedded in the curriculum. So the students use their ePortfolio to display their best work for their instructors, and the instructor uses the ePortfolio to collect their work. At some of the other campuses, the students use it as primarily a career tool. So we have a template that we created for them, and within that template, they can create this really awesome interactive resume that demonstrates their prior knowledge. Some of our students have actually been in manufacturing for 20 plus years. So they have work experience and models of things that they've created or other things that they can add to their ePortfolio to go along with their coursework. And we share our ePortfolios with our employers, feedback. We use them at all of our events for employers and the public to see what we're doing. Most recently, I was at an employer event where there was a vendor there talking about a new 3D printer or something. And a woman there actually said she wrote the book on ePortfolio. So I was able to make a connection with a woman from New Hampshire who had worked with a company and had written some ePortfolio documents. So it was really great. It's the words getting out there, and our manufacturing employers are starting to see the benefits of students having ePortfolios.
Do you find that the students who are constructing their ePortfolios are the experience or the process of building it, is it benefiting them in preparation for employment?
It is. So when we provide ePortfolio workshops face-to-face, and we have an online schedule. And when we are at the face-to-face ones, the initial workshop, they're kind of confused about what an ePortfolio is. But as we start talking about it and showing examples, they will say, I can see how I will have things to talk about when I'm sitting across the table during my interview about, what were some of the things I created? What were some of the challenges in creating this model or whatever it is? What were the successes? And a lot of times they say, I have these past work samples. I can now add that. And I never thought to bring it up during an interview. So we encourage them to use it as a reflective process and a way to prepare for an interview. Whatever you put in your ePortfolio, those are things you can talk about during the interview.
Right, and I think manufacturing is probably more of a visual industry than some of the other industries out there. So what type of artifacts do you see students putting inside of their ePortfolios?
So students will upload things as simple as just a blueprint drawing, and they'll go all the way up to, we had one student who actually created a 3D printer. So he took pictures of each step of the process. Then he added a PDF of something he designed in a CAD program. Then he has a video of the 3D printer actually printing, and then he has the printout of what the 3D printer printed. Students will also take pictures or images, pictures or videos of them working in the labs on the machines, just pictures of their still models, of the things that they've machined. So a lot of, like you said, a lot of visual, a lot of images, a lot of videos. None of it's really text heavy.
Have you gotten feedback from students that have gone through the interview process and used a portfolio during the interview? Have you heard from any students that have done that?
We have a couple of students who say that they feel that their ePortfolio got them the job that they got. Whether that's true or not, I haven't talked to the employer, but the student feels that they were ahead of the other applicants because they had something to show. I always say, it's instead of those bullet points on your resume, this is actually evidence that you can do what you say you do. We hear the horror stories from our employers that they, hire this great candidate who interviewed well, whose resume looked great, and then spent thousands of dollars wasting material and training time and wages just to find out they couldn't do what they could do. So I think our students realize that and have maybe experienced that and now have proof that they can do what the bullet says they can.
If nothing else, I would think that the student is sort of experiencing the value of synthesizing that information in one location as a preparation step in getting them ready for the interview.
Right. They can tell the employer where they started and where they're at now. And you're absolutely right. Synthesize all their experiences better than they could if they hadn't prepared for it.
So you have certain areas that are using the portfolio as more of a showcase to gain employment.
Right.
And you have other ways you're using the ePortfolio too. I heard you mention some assessments that are going on. Maybe you could talk to us a little bit about some of the other ways ePortfolio is being employed there.
So we really wanted all the colleges to integrate ePortfolio into their curriculum because we thought it would help to eventually get them to buy into the assessment portion of it, but also to have them see that there's another way to retrieve student work other than just handing it in or emailing a bunch of files. So the couple of colleges who are integrating it into their curriculum, it took a while. That's one of the things I can say is that it took almost 2 years to get the faculty buy-in and show that we were going to support them and we weren't just going to leave them hanging. But once they got it, they are now seeing it's such a more efficient way to get the products that the students create. And then the students showcase their things. So like there was a capstone project, for example, that the students used to bring in, a PowerPoint and a poster board and do the old song and dance. And now the student uses the ePortfolio as the presentation vehicle. And employers are invited to this event. So the student really has something more powerful and concise and organized, and then is graded on it. That's the way the instructor grades the capstone project.
Okay, so I kind of leads into my question there. I was going to ask, what are some of the ways the ePortfolio is actually being used in the curriculum? Like, how are faculty members making it a component within their classroom?
So the capstone project is one. Otherwise, for each course, so for one of our colleges, for each course, the student adds the artifacts or the projects that they think most represent their best work. And then the faculty are provided with an ePortfolio grading rubric that we created for them. So the faculty can use the rubric and look at the ePortfolio, and the things on the rubric are like, are all the pages loading fast enough? Are the images and videos related to manufacturing? Are there any spelling or grammar issues? I think that's it. And I think just like the quality of what the student says and completeness. So that's the major way that it's being used. In one of the courses, they're just using it as a course ePortfolio. So anything that the student creates in that course, it hasn't been embedded into the program curriculum, just the course. So we have, course curriculum, program curriculum, and capstone.
Has there been any discussion on any sort of competency-based measurements against the portfolio? So any programs that have certain competencies, standards, objectives, whatever you want to call them, that they're trying to measure, and then using the authentic artifacts the students are producing within the portfolio and assessing those against those competencies. Have you heard any discussion or thoughts about that?
None of our faculty have brought that up yet. And I think mostly because after 2 years, they're just starting to understand ePortfolio. So they haven't quite gotten there, although they should get there soon, because a lot of our programs are competency, or they aren't competency based, but they are in the sense that there are certain things that the employers want the students to be able to do. So competency based, meaning what the employer wants as competencies. But yeah, we haven't gotten there yet. I wish we could get there sooner.
Well, let's step back then and talk about, 2-year initiative. It sounds like it's taken a while to get everybody on board, up to speed, kind of using ePortfolios. Talk to me, the audience, really, about some of the challenges you faced in, acclimating faculty to ePortfolios.
Well, the very first challenge is, and it's an ironic challenge, because manufacturing has changed so much from the dirty floor thing to it is all computer programmed and clean and all these things. So the biggest challenge that was ironic was that technology has no place in manufacturing education. And so it was getting beyond that, the student doesn't have to print out their blueprint and hand it in class. There's a more efficient and tree hugging way of doing these types of things. Getting them, or having the faculty in colleges see that not only is it another way to get student work, but it's another way for students to collaborate with one another and see what they're capable of and work on projects together. And I think the third biggest hurdle is just having faculty feel secure that we aren't going to just give it to them and then walk away. So we did a lot of, meeting with faculty, asking them about their needs. At the beginning, like I said, we really were pushing for curriculum integration in all the colleges, and then took a step back and said, okay, well, this is what we have. Can you come up with some ways that you would like to use it? And then provided them with some examples of ePortfolios that we saw. I just did a Google search of like Virginia Tech and related programs, engineering programs, so they can see that this is not necessarily a new thing for their programs. So yeah, those were the three major hurdles in getting in the last 2 years. And now, like I said, they're asking for them.
What were some of the ways that you communicated to faculty? Did you have webinars, meetings, emails, and how frequently did you have to touch base with them, remind them, hey, ePortfolios?
Often. So we did all of that. We had face-to-face meetings. Last January, we held several ePortfolio faculty info sessions, is what we called them. Just to show them the different ways they could use ePortfolios in their classrooms. I did facilitate an ePortfolio training for faculty, so the ABCs of ePortfolios. That was during our system-wide technology day, and actually Shauna helped me with some of those ABCs, so shout out to Shauna. And yeah, just constantly at the beginning of each semester, we send an email to the faculty saying, don't forget, we have, ePortfolio along with the other things that we do. We have what we call a syllabus addendum. We ask all the faculty to add it to their syllabi. And it includes, this is ePortfolio, this is what we can do, this is how you can use it in your classroom. So yeah, just constantly reminding them that this is a thing.
Did you find the faculty at first were a little averse to even hearing about it? Did you have any major naysayers that you had to overcome, or pretty much people like, amiable to hearing about it?
There were no major naysayers. It was more, I think it's more not understanding what it is. So when you're just talking about it, it's like, what is that? So then actually showing them what it was helped to bring them from like A to M, not A to Z, but like A to M. And then asking them to stay, like for the campuses that didn't have curriculum integration, I would strongly encourage that the faculty stay for the workshop so they could learn more. And what was so interesting about that was that the faculty then were the ones who were saying, everything I would say, then the faculty would back up and say to the students, this is great, this is what you need for a job, this is what employers are looking for. So they were really validating what we were saying. So it's always good to have strong faculty involvement from, just the ground, and then making sure that they're able to stay around for the workshop so the students can see they're excited about it. But yeah, no major naysayers. It was more of just, not knowing what they didn't know.
So it sounds like it's very important for the faculty to be excited about it in order to help the students in turn be
Yeah.
excited about it.
Yes, and in fact, we've had students tell us that they trust their faculty. So I support students from all 7 colleges, which are across our entire state. Who the heck is Jennifer Marcolongo? They don't know who that is. When I'm sending them an email, do you want an ePortfolio account? And then when I come for the face-to-face, they see me once or twice, maybe 3 times. But yeah, so it's the faculty, the trust that the faculty have. So the faculty need to have that excitement and support that will then trickle down to the students.
Did you have any trouble getting faculty to attend meetings and listen to sessions on ePortfolio? Did they just want to bail and go do other things? Were they paid to attend those meetings? How did you get them to show up?
No, there was no, with all the budget stuff, there was no stipends to attend. Just keeping them entertaining was motivation enough. But really, no, they all had no problem coming. We made sure we kept them brief. So, started out with like a 15-minute hook, and then say, hey, we're gonna have a follow-up session, or and we did the same thing with the students. We would start with brief info sessions and then work up to like an hour session or an hour and a half session, and again based on what the students and what the faculty wanted. But yeah, no issue. Faculty attended without a problem.
Do you have any students and or faculty that have stepped up and maybe are going to do some of your sessions or participate in leading some of those sessions? So instead of you doing them and members of your team, getting the faculty members and possibly even the students, as I suggested, working in those?
Not yet. Not yet. There have been 2 students that I can think of all along who were kind of our pioneers. They were our testers for everything. And they talk up the ePortfolios with their peers, but unofficially, not in a workshop setting or anything like that.
So we have a couple minutes left here. What are the plans for the future? Where do you see ePortfolios and how that they're employed in the next 2 years there?
Well, that's a great question. Our DOL grant funding ends September 30th, 2015. So that means I won't be on the grant any longer. However, we're working on sustainability plans with all of our colleges. I do know one college in particular plans to continue with Folio Tech and their ePortfolio. They're the one who has it integrated in their capstone project. They're really excited about it. We are encouraging, there is another college who feels the same way. So we are encouraging them to, stick with it. Our students were provided through the grant with ePortfolio accounts for a couple of years. So it's certainly something that they can sustain for at least a couple of years. And part of those out, it will be training just to see, so they can understand what types of training or follow-up they may need to do. Again, with the rubric, and we record all of our ePortfolio training sessions, or we record at least one of them. So that way then, if no one's there to give a live session, which would be me, the student can always, or the faculty can always direct the student to the archive. So I'm trying to keep my ghost alive after September 30th, 2015, and in hopes that it continues for sure. And I will say, we actually have, I just saw this, one college has a tacked 3-round grant. There were 4 rounds, and they have a heavy ePortfolio component, and it's a manufacturing grant as well. So that says something, I think.
So a little bit uncertain because the grant's running out, but it sounds like certain colleges have seen, they've seen the light, right? Certain colleges have seen the value in the portfolio and want to continue on, and others might still be question marks so far.
Right.
Well, Jennifer, thanks so much for your time. I really appreciate your willingness to join us on the Hangout today, and look forward to talking to you in the future.
All right. Well, thanks for having me.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.